Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, March 25th. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation targeted over the southern half of the Great Basin, and some areas over Nevada and Utah have seen above normal precipitation. However, further north, any precipitation we've seen across Idaho and Wyoming has been well below normal. Looking at the snowfall over the last 72 hours, we have had some new snowfall a couple of days ago in the Sierra and in the higher terrain of Nevada and Utah. And looking at the snow depth on the right, you can see many areas in the high elevations have significant snowfall for the time of year, especially across the southern half to two-thirds of the Great Basin. Looking at our current snowpack, all areas of the Great Basin are at least close or above normal. In Idaho and Wyoming, where we have our lowest snowpack, we still are seeing numbers right around average or just above average. However, over the Sierra into Nevada and Utah, we are seeing well above normal snowpack, between about 150 and 190% of normal. Looking at our satellite loop from this morning, you can see a storm system off the west coast, pushing clouds and precipitation currently over northern California. This will also bring us stronger winds across the western half of the Great Basin today, along with much warmer temperatures above normal today. However, we will see this storm system track eastward, and this will bring cooler weather and some showers to parts of the Great Basin. Looking at the weather pattern for later this afternoon, again you can see that large storm system off the west coast. This will again push mainly gusty winds into the region today with warm temperatures. This will allow for good dispersion across the western two-thirds of the Great Basin. Looking at our transport winds, you can see the image on the left, these gusty south to southwest winds impacting much of Nevada into much of Idaho as well, and the Sierra. Wind gusts will exceed 30 or 40 miles per hour. Looking at mixing heights, we will see high mixing heights over western and southern areas and lower mixing heights over central Idaho into Wyoming. By Tuesday, we will start to see some precipitation moving into the northern half of the Great Basin and still gusty winds and good dispersion. These warm temperatures will push further east into Utah with some cooling felt over the western side of the basin. On Tuesday, the strongest winds will occur over the Sierra into western Nevada and also over the southern half of Nevada and into western Utah. We will also see fairly high mixing heights region-wide. By Wednesday, this first wave really starts to push through, so we will see that precipitation continuing to spread eastward through Wednesday, along with gusty winds continuing, especially over the southern half of the region, with good dispersion over much of Nevada and Utah and the Arizona Strip, and poor dispersion as these showers and clouds with lowering mixing heights move across Idaho. Looking at the transport winds, again, you can see the winds, which actually will be likely strongest on Wednesday over much of the southern half of Nevada into western Utah and parts of the Arizona Strip. You could easily see gusts above 50 miles per hour, so that will be something to watch as we get towards the middle of the week. Again, we will have stronger winds today and just still breezy winds continuing on Tuesday. Mixing heights will remain high over the southern half of the region and lower further north across Idaho. Looking at our forecast clearing index for Utah, it's no surprise as these winds increase on Tuesday and Wednesday, we will see those clearing indices starting to max out in many regions. However, today, with lighter winds, we will see more of a moderate range clearing index over the western half of the region and lower clearing indices over eastern Utah. Forecast amounts of precipitation over the next few days will mainly be with this storm system moving through on Tuesday, Wednesday, and over the northern half of the Great Basin. So finally, parts of central Idaho will see some much needed precipitation. We'll also see heavier amounts in the Sierra, where we could potentially see obviously some heavier snow, especially as you get above 6,000 or 7,000 feet. Snow across parts of northern Nevada is a little bit less certain. We could see snow in some areas towards the middle of the week with that colder system. As we move later in the week, on Thursday, that system starts to move across the Great Basin, so we'll see that precipitation again over the northern half of the region, and likely be more of a showery pattern, especially across Nevada and Idaho, with some heavier precipitation over northern Utah. We will see good dispersion, mostly region-wide. On Friday, that system starts to exit, and we start to see a ridge of high pressure briefly move into the west coast. This will allow for poor dispersion over western and northern areas, but still good dispersion as that system exits with the northwest to northerly winds across much of Utah, the Arizona Strip, and southern Nevada. On Saturday, we will see that ridge again sliding further east, so weather will start to quiet down, and we will have poor dispersion over parts of northern areas and into the Sierra. On Sunday, we might start to see some clouds spill over the top of that ridge, especially over northern Nevada and Idaho, but still looks like fairly dry for much of the Great Basin, with generally westerly to northwest winds. Forecast amounts of precipitation taking us from Friday through Sunday show again that showery pattern mainly early in the day on Friday, and as we get towards the weekend we will see conditions mainly start to dry out, but certainly not looking at any heavy precipitation during that period. The 8 to 14 day outlook taking us into the first week of April shows a return to above normal temperatures, but still a wet signature over much of the west. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.